It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
It's showtime. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It's a Monday. It's a brand new day. It is a brand new week. And this is a brand new edition of the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show. I do a daily Monday through Friday, every weekday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles, the city of angels. Man, wow, summer is getting closer. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the very first holiday, officially or unofficially kicking off the summertime, Memorial Day. And something else pretty big is happening this week or Sunday. I digress. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Geno Jones Show and the Geno Jones channel right here on YouTube. Once again, please, you and everybody you know, all your kinfolk and your cousins and your co-workers and your other relatives and your in-laws and church members and club members and sorority and fraternity brothers and sisters, even folks you don't like. Tell them to subscribe to the hottest show in the whole solar system. Forget the galaxy, forget the universe. The hottest show in the solar system, right here, live. The Geno Jones Show on my Geno Jones Network, right here live on my YouTube channel. Once again, like, share, and subscribe. So let's start off the show with some good news. I try when I can to at least start off with some good news. So if you are a fan of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the Sounds of Blackness, and the legendary, iconic Ann Nesby, man, boy, do I have some great news. So Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, along with the Sounds of Blackness, including the, like I said, iconic Ann Nesby, who is singing lead on their song Optimistic, they are going to perform that song, Optimistic. It is a classic feel good. It makes your spirit feel good if you're depressed. It'll get you in a better frame of mind. It'll put a smile on your face. If you got a frown on your face, it'll put a smile on your face. It is just really a wonderfully spiritually uplifting with a really, really funky beat that I love. Produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They released it back in 1991. 30 years later, they're going to perform that song live on the Billboard Music Awards. So shout out and let's give a hand to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the Sounds of Blackness, and Miss Ann Nesby. Yo, as I call them, GOAT is you. If you saw the episode I had here on the Geno Jones Show, go back and binge watch it if you missed it. I called them GOAT Jam and GOAT Lewis. GOAT Jimmy Jam and GOAT Terry Lewis. So, yo, GOAT Jam and Lewis. What are we doing with the album, bro? On the show, you guys said, well, you were looking at March. It's May. It's mid-May. I mean, I know you guys are working on a masterpiece. Every album you guys do is a masterpiece, but we fans, we want to know. No, we don't just want to know. We want to hear the rest of the album and all the great collaborations that you guys are going to have. So somebody showed us to Jimmy or Terry. You all know Jimmy. Yo, like I said, yo, GOAT Jam and GOAT Lewis. Come on back on the show. Let's talk about when you guys are going to release that album. All right, so. All right, let me segue here. Let me make a transition to some not so happy news, but it's information and it's relevant. This is information that we need to know what is going on. Even though it can be toxic and triggering and traumatic, but it's the truth and we must acknowledge it so we can take the steps to change it and to end this insane level and frequency of police violence, state-sanctioned violence against black men, women, and children. So today's theme is Justice for Jamal Sutherland. So in case you don't know who Jamal Sutherland is a young man, he's no longer with us, here in North Charleston, South Carolina. He was at a local mental health facility. He allegedly assaulted a staff member. Apparently, at this mental health facility, some type of fight broke out. And according to the facility, that Jamal Sutherland allegedly assaulted a staff member. They called the North Charleston Police, the city of North Charleston Police. And they took, according to what I just heard not too long ago, about 30 minutes ago, the latest update was supposedly this mental health facility told the North Charleston Police Department that the facility wanted the North Charleston Police Department to take him to jail. I haven't confirmed that. According to all my latest news sources, that's what's being broadcast on the local news here. So according to their sources, which must be somebody inside of the mental health facility. Anyway, so Jamal Sutherland was taken to the Charleston County, they call it detention center, or the jail, the local jail. Then this happened on January 5th, keep in mind. So this incident happened on January 5th when Jamal Sutherland lost his life. We didn't see this video until last week. And the video is just horrific, guys. There's really no other way to say it. Just thinking about it, just makes me want to just turn my head. It's a video that I wish that I didn't see, but I felt to do this story justice that I needed to witness it with my own eyes at least once, so I could honestly convey to you what I saw, not what someone else told me, but what I saw with my own eyes. And what I saw was it was inhumane. So apparently they were trying to get Jamal Sutherland to go to a bond hearing, and they tased him while he was, they sprayed like pepper spray. They sprayed something that's like pepper spray inside of his cell while he was in his cell. Now, he was just sitting there, but I guess he wasn't moving fast enough. So I witnessed two of these Charleston County sheriffs or at least one of them spraying some pepper spray-like substance into the jail cell where Jamal Sutherland was in. He was in there by himself, and he starts choking and coughing and trying to get his breath. So eventually, I see they basically open up the cell, and there were two Charleston County Sheriff's officers that began to tase him. One officer tased him about 3 times. Another officer tased him about 4 or 5 times. So he was tased somewhere between 6 to 8 times. And you could see his body just convulsing, and he's, this horrible like death scream. He's screaming, and it was just a sound and a scream I've never heard in my life. It was like the life literally was leaving his body. I mean, it was really too much to watch. But I watched it, and I hear him screaming, and I see his body convulsing violently, because they would tase him, and they would tase him again, and 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 tase him again. Then eventually they placed something called a spit hood over his face, and then you can hear Jamal Sutherland yelling, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And he's trying to yell it, but he can't yell because apparently he doesn't have the strength, and he can't get his breath. But he's still yelling in a weakened voice, "I can't breathe." Then he is dragged across the floor of his cell, out of his cell, dragged on the floor. Medics eventually get there, and they try to revive him, because at that point, I guess some of the county sheriffs realize, wait a minute, does he have a pulse? He's not breathing. Then, like I said, medics came in, they tried to revive him. They eventually get him propped up and, I believe, placed in a wheelchair. But he eventually died. Once again, an unarmed black man who was suffering from depression and schizophrenia, according to news sources and the family. So he was schizophrenia, which led to some type of depression. So it was clear that he was having an episode. As a matter of fact, he voluntarily. I got a chance to see the family. His mother spoke last week, and it broke my heart. And she talked about, mental health should not be a death sentence because somebody goes to a facility because they realize that they need mental health. See, he was a bipolar schizophrenic, and it was, I guess, having a depressive episode, which, according to his mother, she said that, I guess, leading up to when he told his family, said, listen, I need to go and get help, that he was hearing voices. Because this man had a mental health crisis inside this jail. He was killed. He was murdered. I mean, we got to call it what it is. And I witnessed this. I saw this. And millions of people have seen the video. You may have seen the video. You witnessed an execution of an unarmed man who was having a mental crisis, who needed professional medical help and humanity and compassion, and somebody that could talk to him or talk him down, or a trained professional who's trained to deal with people who suffer from bipolar schizophrenia, who are bipolar and also deal with schizophrenia. They're people, they're professionals that are trained. Why don't these law enforcement, why don't these police departments have trained? This is not the first time something like this has happened. They encounter this on a regular basis. Why don't cities, counties, and state governments require local police departments and make sure they have the money? I don't give a damn. I don't want to hear about this. Well, they don't have the money. We have to. No, this is life and death. If we taxpayers, if we give you under the guise of the state, we give you the power to take a life, to make life and death decisions, you have to use that power very judiciously and very responsibly. You got to go way, way above and beyond. You have to be required, expected, and mandated to use that power in a very judicious way. You have to be very discretionary and make any type of potential or lethal force the absolute last option. Not the first option, the absolute last option. So last week I did an episode, as a matter of fact, a week ago last Monday, I talked about qualified immunity. And this is basically a judicial rendering. It's actually not even a law. It was something that a judge came up with. But it has federal backing and standing. So qualified immunity is basically, let's just, for lack of better choice of words, I don't want to confuse you, call it a federal law or statute that does not allow you or me, that will not allow the family of Jamal Sutherland to sue the individual county sheriffs that were directly responsible for Jamal Sutherland dying right there on the Charleston County Detention Center floor. Right there on the floor, on camera, on video, for any and everybody to see the video. Qualified immunity won't let the family, like in other cases, if someone is responsible, even if it's accidentally, you have a right to go to civil court and to sue that family for pain and suffering and wrongful death, and to be financially compensated even if it means that that person has to liquidate their assets, whatever they may be, home, car, other financial, monies, bank accounts. In police officers' case, it means that you must be able to go after their personal assets, including their pension. I've said it so many times. I know it's a broken record, but I'm going to keep singing this song. I'm going to sing it till I can't sing it and say it anymore. If we as black people, if I as a black man, if I cannot get you, those in law enforcement who, for whatever reason, because of your racism and fear, ignorance, bias, sadistic nature, pure evil, whatever it is, or a combination of all the above, if whatever hate, evil, or bias or fear that you harbor inside of you causes you to look at me, and because of the pigmentation of my skin does not allow you to see the humanity, to see my humanity, and to see me as a human, and to completely strip you of any compassion and empathy and humanity in terms of seeing me as a human, seeing my humanity, if I can't appeal to that, then I need to be able to go dig in your pockets. Because if I can't appeal, and I'm going to say it again, if I can't appeal to your humanity, I can get your attention by digging in your pockets and snatching up your pension, snatching up whatever assets you have. House paid for? I need you to run me that title. As a matter of fact, I need you to sell the house, liquidate the house, liquidate the car. You own the car, you got the title to the car, you got the deed to the house, you got other accounts. Oh, kids to a tuition account. You got other investments maybe, brokerage accounts, whatever it is, don't matter. Call it what you want. But if there's money in it, I'm gonna need you to run me that money. And still go after the police union. Because the individual officers, some may say, well, they may not have that much money. You might not get that much money. Fine. Give me what you got. Let me go after the police union, since they're so quick to defend officers who blatantly engage in police brutality and use excessive force and kill innocent, unarmed men, women, and children, especially black people, at just higher rates. Black people are 3 times more likely to be shot and killed by the police. So qualified immunity is a must. So about a week or so ago, when Representative James Clyburn, who was my representative, I live in his district right here in Charleston, South Carolina. So when I saw Representative Clyburn go on CNN, not this Sunday, about a week ago yesterday, and say that, well, we might be, I'm paraphrasing, that if we don't want perfect to be the enemy of the good, and if we can't get qualified immunity in this George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, we'll get it in another one. And I've heard he's somewhat kind of moonwalked like Michael Jackson and moonwalked that position back. No, Congressman Clyburn, with all due respect, and like I said last week on Monday, I have the utmost, the highest respect for not just you as a politician, as a civil rights warrior, and you've been in this fight for decades. You've been in this civil rights fight as long as I've been, before I was even born. And I have nothing but respect for you for that. Not to mention the way you've served your district. I admire what you've done politically. We would not have President Joe Biden if it wasn't for you literally co-signing for him, literally, and putting your arm on his shoulder and co-signing and saying he's a good man and you need to vote for him. You really saved America, because South Carolina saved America, because we turned his campaign was on life support. Joe Biden's campaign was on a ventilator until he came to South Carolina, and he was still struggling until Congressman James Clyburn stepped up in front of the cameras and looked in the camera almost with a tear in his eye, talked about with his late wife, the friendship that they had and how much she thought about him as a man and a politician, a public servant. And you staked your reputation. You as my grandfather said, you co-signed for Joe Biden, and the rest is history. He would not be at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And this democracy would have been destroyed, would have been completely destroyed had not Joe Biden won the presidency. So I'm saying that to say I have the utmost respect, but when I heard Congressman Clyburn sound a little wishy-washy, as my grandfather would say, a little iffy about qualified immunity, I called his office and I spoke to a young man named Zach. Shout out to Zach, who allowed me to go on a rant like I was on camera. And he was patient and he listened, and it was a wonderful engagement. So Congressman Clyburn, you've done a great job, hiring a staff, because Zach he is a great reflection on you as a public servant, and on you in terms of a man who can evaluate another person's character. But I told him, you will not have a George Floyd. You can't have a George Floyd Justice in Policing Act without qualified immunity. It won't be. It will not be. It'll be something else, but it won't be justice. It can't be a George Floyd Justice in Policing, because you cannot get justice in policing without qualified immunity. And unfortunately, Jamal Sutherland is another tragic, deadly example of how black people, black men, women, and children, for some reason, are just dealt with. Even black men, women, and children who are in the middle of a mental crisis, of a traumatic mental episode. Too many in law enforcement still can't even see our humanity in a moment of crisis and need, when a law enforcement officer should operate with the highest level of humanity and compassion and empathy. A man that was clearly in a crisis. They knew he was in a crisis. They went to a mental health facility. So, and if it's true, if the facility told the North Charleston Police Department that they wanted him arrested, I can't confirm it personally. I can only go by what I've heard on several local news channels and news sources. That's another conversation. But once he was alive. He was alive when he went inside the detention center. But when he was taken out, he was no longer alive. He walked in alive, physically fine, healthy, mentally in a crisis, yes, but physically his heart was beating, he was breathing normally, he was talking. He was just in a mental crisis. But he walked in the Charleston County Detention Center, but he was carried out on a stretcher or a gurney. He was carried out dead. His life was gone like that in less than 15 minutes. Gone, life gone. That is why we must, this is non-negotiable. Senator Cory Booker, we must have qualified immunity. I know you're sitting down, you and Senator Karen Bass in California, and Senator Tim Scott right here in South Carolina. I know you've been in talks and negotiation, but there are negotiables in life, there are negotiables and non-negotiables. And not having qualified immunity is a non-negotiable, because you will never get justice in policing as long as qualified immunity is allowed to stand. If it is not reversed, we will never, ever, 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 never, never, ever, 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 never, ever, ever get justice in policing. without qualified immunity. There's no guarantee that we will get full justice, even with qualified immunity. But like I said, if I can appeal to your humanity, I can get your attention if you know I can go digging in your pockets. You know, it might slow you down a little bit. You might not be so quick to grab the gun instead of the taser. You might not be so quick to tase someone that's having a mental health crisis 8 times. You might try, hey, can we try and find a trained professional? Is there a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist? Can we find and work with some mental health facilities? Which I don't know why this mental health facility didn't have anybody that could talk this person down. That's a whole different conversation. But police departments, you need to have these people on your staff. When you know that there's a call of a person that is in mental distress, it should be required that you send a mental health professional out with the officers. As a matter of fact, you know what? You might, instead of sending officers out with guns, send officers who are specifically trained mental health experts and professionals to diffuse a situation. So this is what I want you to do. If you feel the same way, if you believe that the only way to have justice in the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act is to make sure that qualified immunity is removed, I want you to call Senator Tim Scott, 202-224-6121. 202 area code. This is his office in Washington, D.C. 202 area code 224-6121. 202-224-6121. Call Senator Scott and tell him, if you live in South Carolina, if you live in the Charleston Metro, definitely call him. Even if you don't, but if you don't live in the Carolinas, no matter where you live, I want you to call Senator Tim Scott's office and tell him, yo, bro, what we can't do, we cannot allow qualified immunity to remain. It is one of the only ways to hold police officers who engage in excessive force and the killing, be it by shooting, choking, kneeing on the neck, or tasing and putting a spit bag over somebody's face. Whatever method they use to kill an unarmed person is unacceptable. And one of the only ways to hopefully change it, stop it, or at least slow it down is to hold these officers who engage, and I use that term loosely, who engage in criminal acts, hold them liable financially. And criminally also. They need to be criminally charged, but that might not even scare them. They may feel they can get off. They get a jury to be sympathetic. But if they know you can snatch their pension and snatch all their financial assets, and their police union knows that you're going to go digging in their pockets and bankrupt these police unions, you get their attention. Please call Senator Tim Scott and tell him we must have qualified immunity removed. So that means that part of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act must stay in that bill. Once again, qualified immunity must remain. Can't be compromised. Can't be, well, we'll get it later. No, we have to get it now. Because if we don't get it now, we may never get it. Qualified immunity, or the removal of qualified immunity for police officers, must remain in the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Period, point blank, full stop, end of story, end of conversation, drop the mic. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show, a daily live variety show Monday through Friday right here, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. Like, share, and subscribe to the Geno Jones channel right here on YouTube, the Geno Jones Network. Like, share, and subscribe, please, and tell everybody you know to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to be a sponsor, I'd be honored to have you as a sponsor. If you'd like to advertise on my show or my channel, I'd be honored to have you advertise on the show or channel. If you would like to be, if you'd like for me to be the pitch man for one of your products, services, goods, or your business, I am, come on, you all my regulars, you know what's about to go down. I am the who? The king, not the king, the king of pitchmen. So reach out to me. Leave me a message right here on my YouTube channel, or you can send me an email, Geno Jones Show @gmail. All right. Shout out to Mr. Mark Hale Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, on IG, Kelby Cuttin, KELBECUTTIN. Shout out to Mr. Bruce Gage, the official wardrobe stylist and consultant for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out also on Instagram, on IG. Just do an Instagram search, Bruce, Gage. Also check him out, flyballthestore.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. Once again, I love each and every one of you. I love you so much. And Mother, I love you more than life itself. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing in me, even more than I believed in myself at times. And that's saying a lot. Thank you. Can't thank you enough. All right, everybody. I really appreciate you watching. Until tomorrow, Tuesday, a brand new episode of the Geno Jones Show. Live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, once again, thank you so much for watching, and be blessed.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.